Good morning. This is the October 18th, 2023 meeting of the Western Region Board of Review. The time is 9:35 and the hearing is officially open. Members of the board are David Flynn, Richard Andrews, John Cheney, and Peter Clayman. My name is John Lyden. I'm the chairman of the Department of State. We have Andrew Vizdak. And it looks like maybe online we may have Tom DiTullio. We will now hear the scheduled petitions. When you speak, please address the board and give your name, title, and legal address so that our court reporter can have all the information requested. We may have to stop from time to time to consult with our technical staff. In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into record. The first hearing, petitioner is Mark Hamby. The second hearing, petitioner is Big Hollow Barn. The third hearing, petitioner is Roll Road Storage Site. And the fourth hearing of the day is the Syracuse International Airport. At this point, we would like to have the petitioner for Mark Hamby come forward and present your case, please. So I believe for the record here, this particular hearing is being presented in an attempt to have an additional hearing in December on this matter. Is that accurate, Mr. Bigger? Okay, so they're going to present their case, and then we're going to go for a vote to postpone our ruling or until our next hearing in December.
And it's David Flynn. I think the presentation today, it goes to whether or not this board should hear this in December, not the actual merits of the current.
So with respect to your
Really quick, because I don't know everybody's name. Like before you speak, can you just say your name? I see a man, he's with, it looks like a tan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's David Flynn.
Okay, thank you.
So you guys want to introduce yourselves every time you speak?
Sure. Mark Hamby from 5629 Westlake Road, Canisius. And so again, with respect to your time, I won't read my whole letter. I'll just read the last paragraph on the first page. It's one of the reasons that we're here is that we appear to make a more than 50% substantial improvement on the house, which caused us to be under the flood zone, fill in the basement, and other requirements. So after further review, it says after reviewing the renovations in the house, it does not appear that we were more than $60,000 spent on the main house, which would be less than 50% of the total value of the house, which was $130,500. Again, the difficulty though of assessing exactly how much was spent, because originally I said we spent $93,000 on the house, but that's for the whole property. That's for the cottage, the house, the garage, the landscape, the driveway. That was for everything. But because I said that at a meeting that we spent $93,000 on the house, we didn't have any way to prove what was spent for each section of the property. So it does appear that we are less than 50% than the cost of the total value of the house. But because I said that, I had not made that an argument, so I let that go. Because it appeared that we made more than 50% of improvements based on what I said regarding the total amount spent, the code officer has not been willing to work with us and is requiring us to fill in the basement with over 32 inches of stone, 4 inches of concrete. This requirement places the finished floor 3 inches above the bottom of the furnace, takes away our basement, giving us 36 inches for a crawl space. In the space, the hot water heater will need to be replaced with a tankless water heater, and the grinding pump raised 36 inches, requiring new plumbing. And this is the main part here. After appearing before the state board last March, we left hopeful. Engineer John Sheenan, John, is it Sheen or Shen? Shane. Encouraged us to apply for a Loma relief from the flood zone, and in his words, all of this will go away. Believing we had a path to move forward, we hired McMahon and LaRue, surveyors and engineers, to survey the property, provide an elevation certificate, and apply for relief from the flood zone. Brian White, on my left, from LaRue, conducted the survey and was confident that we would indeed be removed from the flood zone, which would also provide security for the town since the modifications for the basement would no longer be needed. Brian recommended that only 2 minor modifications were needed: disconnect the deck from the house, modify the door into the basement. We hired Chuck Smith from Design Works architectural firm, provided a stamped architectural plan for the minor work needed to be removed from the flood zone. We presented our findings to the code officer, and he would not accept any changes from the original building permit. He said we could not make those changes. We could make those changes only after we did the work in the basement, since there was a substantial improvement. And so then we hired Brian. Brian was able to prove that we could most likely get out of the flood zone, and then hopefully all of this would go away. So I'll let Brian tell his part of the story.
Yep, I'm Brian White from McMahon LaRue Associates. Following up on what Mark had spoken about, the original variance hearing was February of this year. Our team became involved in April and provided an elevation certificate upon review of the structure. And following up to the previous meeting regarding a Loma removal, I have a diagram showing the lakeward face of the cottage. It's our opinion that if 2 minor modifications to the structure are made, that it'd be eligible for a Loma application with FEMA, which would remedy the substantial improvement violation and allow us to proceed with the remaining permits so that Mr. Hamby can react upon the residents. So we've prepared a few letters back and forth with the DEC to address this. We're still awaiting verification to see what their interpretation is. I did include those in the information packet. I don't want to dive too far into that unless you'd like to discuss it. And I've also included several pictures showing the deck configuration as well as the door modification.
John, I have a question. Rick Andrews, my question is that this came in our packet or came after, or it's a letter from the DEC?
It came from my office.
Okay, so this letter we got sounds like you're trying to work it out between all parties, that they're willing to work it out with all parties. But it said there was a meeting, I think on the 15th.
That meeting
Was there a meeting?
October,
15th, was it? Did that meeting ever happen?
yes.
Did.
That's correct.
October 15th?
September, I'm sorry.
Not
The meeting
October.
with DC is September 12th.
All right, September 12th.
Yes. Anyway, so can you address that?
So that letter was before the meeting.
Okay, so,
And
so the stuff that's in your packet's a result of the meeting?
yeah, so I've included a letter following the meeting dated October 9th.
Okay.
And I haven't heard back from the DEC as of this morning, but we're looking for further clarification and interpretation on some of their.
So just
Information that was-
for the record, to make it clear that all 3 of you did meet DEC, yourselves, and the code enforcement all met in that meeting.
Correct, on September 12th.
We did, and before the meeting started, Mr. Maxwell said, I'm not changing my mind, so it doesn't make any difference what you say.
Okay, well, but you did have the meeting, that's all.
Okay, correct.
So Andy, do we need to allow anybody to come forward at this point or?
Well, I see the DEC is on board there. I don't know if they want to speak or if
But I
they're,
think we're on the cusp of deliberating here,
okay.
aren't we? If he starts
Well,
telling his
I
side of the
just-
story and.
I just see the DEC's on. I don't know if they
Well,
wanted
I
to comment
said-
for Mark or,
Okay, I mean, as long as we're not deliberating, because that's happening, well, we're gonna propose that move into a December hearing, right?
right.
Okay, so, yeah, go ahead.
The DEC, I see you're on. Do you want to make any comments or are you just here to listen?
Hi, this is Brianna Worley with DEC. We're here mostly to listen in. We can say that we did have a meeting with all parties on September 12th. Both myself and Kelly Higgins Roche out of central office were in attendance. And we have received the letter from Brian White regarding additional clarification on the LOMA, but have not yet provided an official response.
Okay, thank you.
Andy, do we need to open it up to anybody else that's here today?
I know code officials here.
Ron Maxwell from the town of Groveland. After the meeting we had here in December, I reached out to Brianna Whitley at the DEC. If she can correct me if I do misunderstood her. She said, yes, they came here for state variance, but there's another wrinkle, is we got a local flood prevention law. And she said, even though you guys rule, it would still have to come back to our board for our CBA to make a determination. And she said, as long as you guys were in denial, we didn't have to worry about our board. But if you approve it, then it has to go back to our board for approval. And they also said that whether loam or not, per our flood law, the town appointed me as floodplain administrator, and I was the one to enforce the law, whether anybody likes it or not. And they also stated the cost of filling in the basement is not an acceptable approach. It's not a hardship. You can't use the cost of filling it in.
Okay,
And Brianna, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Really quick, Brian, can you spell your last name for me, please?
Yes, the last name's White, White.
No, the gentleman that was just speaking, I thought he said his name was Brian.
No, Ron Maxwell.
Okay, Ron Maxwell. Okay, thank you so much.
so Andy, are we ready for a motion?
I think you had a question to Brianna. Did she answer or?
I just asked her if I misspoke to let me know what she had to say.
Okay.
So we're gonna move forward. I'm sure Brianna's comments could be involved in our next hearing.
John, the only thing to move this forward, if we decide to, he's stating that it's $65,000.
So
Yeah, but
I think that's.
doesn't that
deliberating.
make-
I think that's deliberating. I really do. I think we do this again with the facts of the net and the new shed and et cetera, et cetera. We do that in December. We don't even talk about that now, I don't think.
Well, I would think you would need to have proof for us to move ahead.
I'm
And
gonna,
I don't see any proof that any of the statements he's making are, I
so,
mean, there's no decision from the DEC. There's no proof that it's $65,000 less than 50%.
okay,
Those are two things that would make it a moot point.
so I don't,
I think it's David Flynn. It's under active consideration by DEC, certainly. We've heard from DEC, so I think we should hear from them at the appropriate time. I will just note that if there is a local law, this board does not grant variances that pertain to that local law. So you would have whatever legal rights you have relative to those decisions and that law. The only thing we're empowered to consider in terms of variances are the state codes, not local laws, just so you understand that, number one. Number two, if DEC is in agreement and the town is in agreement, which sounds unlikely, there may not be a need for a variance at the state level. So, you could consider that as we head towards December, but I agree with the chairman in terms of, I think there's enough information here to consider, at least consider a rehearing or
yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be coming up for a vote, you could be
Oh,
against.
that's fine,
whatever-
that's fine,
whatever you
understood.
wanna do.
I'd like to clarify, the intent is to interpret if the LOMA application is permissible to resolve a substantial improvement violation, both at a state level, and we'd have to work on a local level to address that. That's the direction we're heading.
So at this point, I'd like to call for a motion. Anybody want to call for a motion to proceed this hearing into a next December board meeting? Is that accurate, Andy?
Yes.
So do I have a motion to do that?
Make that motion.
Do I have a
second.
second?
second.
Dr. Vogt, Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Clayman?
Yes.
Yes. John Lyden is also in favor. The vote carries unanimously, so we will resume the hearing on this matter at the December board meetings.
Thank you very
At
much.
this point, This hearing is concluded. Thank you.
John, can you let us know who motioned and who seconded?
Yes.
John Shenny made the motion. Peter Kleiman seconded the motion.
All right, going forward, can we just introduce ourselves before we talk?
Sure.
Thank you.
Try to remember that. Next hearing of the day is petition number 2023-0472. The petitioner is Big Hollow Barn. Petition requests a variance regarding the use of an existing building. This application is for a building type 5B of Group A2 occupancy. The building consists of a one-story and has a gross area of approximately 14,000 square feet. The building is located at 880 Yellow Mills Road, Palmyra, New York, 14522, County of Wayne, State of New York. Petitioner seeks relief from 19 NYCRR 1221, the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 903.2.1.2, Group A2, which states, an automatic sprinkler system shall be provided throughout stories containing a Group A2 occupancies and throughout all stories from the Group A2 occupancy to and including the levels of exit discharge, serving that occupancy where one of the following conditions exist. Number one, the fire area exceeds 5,000 square feet. Number two, the fire area has an occupant load of 100 or more. Number three, the fire area is located on a floor other than the level of exit discharge, serving such occupancies. Petitioner requests relief to eliminate the sprinkler system. Petitioner is also seeking relief from 19 NYCRR 1221, the 2020, the existing Building Code of New York State, Section 1011.2.1, which is the fire sprinkler system. And it reads, where a change in occupancy classification occurs, or where there is a change of occupancy within a space, where there is a different fire protection system threshold requirement in Chapter 9 of the Building Code of New York State, that requires an automatic fire sprinkler system to be provided based on the new occupancy in accordance with Chapter 9 of the Building Code of New York State. Such a system shall be provided throughout the area where the change of occupancy occurs. Petitioner requests relief to eliminate the sprinkler system. Also, Section 19 NYCRR 1221, the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 508.3.2, allowable building area, height, and number of stories. And it reads, the allowable building area, height, and number of stories of the building or portion thereof shall be based on the most restrictive allowances for the occupancy groups under consideration for the type of construction of the building in accordance with Section 503.1. Petitioner requests relief to eliminate the sprinkler system. So at this point, identify yourself and present your case. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for letting us be at the hearing today. My name is Laura Cooney, and I am owner of LMC Codes LLC, 391 Basket Road, Webster, New York. I'm here representing the owners, Tricia and Steve, and Tricia will also be speaking a little bit later, but I'm going to start out the discussion. So Tricia did hand out additional photos and support letters from local emergency management, the police department, and the assemblyman who has attended events at this barn. So 3 years ago, prior to 3 years ago, this large barn, which is wood structure, but a construction, I should say, type 5B construction, but it does have steel columns and steel roof trusses, okay, but still considered 5B construction. Everything else is wood. And it was previously a horse barn, okay, with stalls and open ring for riding lessons and training of horses, and also large horse shows, if anybody's ever been to a horse show. So, and then 3 years ago, the owners, prior to that, actually, they discussed with the town that what they wanted to do with a portion of the space of the barn, which is about 48,000 or 4,800 square feet. Okay, so a small portion of the building to turn it into an event space, okay, and a seasonal event space. So they discussed with the town, to, you know, make sure that they were doing everything in accordance with the requirements. And they did open, and held a few events the first summer, 2021, also 2022. And then, this is their third season, 2023. There is about 7,000 square foot, they made, you know, renovations, they replaced the roof, made exterior, you know, improvements, and they've also added, you know, they had 3 overhead, 20-foot wide by 15-foot high overhead glass doors, okay, that are open a majority of the time. And they've also added 3 side hinged, egress doors to the, you know, to the space as well too, as well as emergency lighting, exit signage, you know, that's also required. So there's a number of improvements that have been made to this, including the event space area, the 4,800 square feet, plus an additional accessory storage space and a bridal area, which is slab on grade. Okay, the remainder of the barn is dirt and, you know, gravel, and, you know, as it was before too. There's also there's sidewalks that were added on the north side and the east side, concrete sidewalks. So, those are, you know, all weather type, amenity as well too. So the events that are held are typically, you know, no more than 15, usually a year. And they're usually on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's not every day, you know, throughout, you know, the time period. And the season is typically June through the very beginning of November because of weather, obviously. And a majority or half of, at least, if not a majority of the events that are held are actually smaller than 99 occupants. So the occupant load trigger, typically the 100 occupant load trigger for the sprinkler system requirements is, you know, is occurs less often than the smaller events. It is only 4,800 square feet, as I had mentioned, you know, that is used for the event space. But it is part of a very large barn, and there is no rated fire separation between the event space and the remainder of the barn, which is basically open and, you know, limited storage, most of it, non-combustible storage and so forth. So there's the trigger for the sprinkler system with the 100 occupants, which does happen occasionally. Also the fire area, which exceeds 5,000 square feet technically. It is type 5B construction, which also exceeds, you know, the building area limitations for a non-separated mixed occupancy. As an A2 occupancy, the most restrictive. It does present an act similar to a temporary structure, in the fact that, you know, you've got 180 days that it's allowed to use, but obviously it's not a temporary structure. It's a fixed barn, it's an existing barn, but similar in concept, okay, to the temporary structure requirements in building code section 301 or 3103. And it also is very similar to the temporary special events structures allowed, excuse me, under the fire code, section 3105, that is limited to 6 consecutive weeks, which obviously this does, you know, is longer than, because it's June through the beginning of November. But, excuse me. But if you look at the number of days that is actually used, typically the 15 events, no more than 2 of, you know, days of these types of things for each of these events, definitely less than the 40 days, you know, that 6 weeks would total up. So again, similar in concept. As stated, existing building code, partial change of occupancy, and building code, section 903.2.1.2 would technically require sprinklers because of the, you know, events that do hold 100 or more occupants. However, this is an unconditioned barn, and it's, you know, not heated, there's no air conditioning, there's fans to when they're needed, just to circulate air, but generally speaking, when they, you know, need to circulate air, all of the, you know, the barn door, the main barn door, you know, siding barn door, and or the overhead, 3 overhead doors, are open, okay? And so it's again, very similar to a, you know, pavilion type space, so at least on, you know, 2 sides. This is out in rural area, you know, country, so it's in Palmyra. And, there is an 8-inch water main, but it is, you know, approximately, the barn is approximately 300 feet from the road. And, you know, providing a dry head sprinkler system, even just in the event space area, plus add, you know, changing out a water main, most likely having to add a fire pump, you know, would, as I just, you know, did some quick numbers based on some, calculations I was provided by a fire protection engineer a few years ago, it would be well over $100,000. Again, that's just for that, you know, less than 5,000 square feet area to cover that. But in addition to, and I think more importantly, is that the alternatives to fire safety and life safety that are provided are really more beneficial in a way, because it would have to be a dry sprinkler system than requiring the sprinklers, because there are the 3 side hinge doors that have been added as exit discharge directly to grade, okay? And they, as I said, exit signs have been provided, installed, exterior exit emergency lighting and interior emergency lighting has been installed. And the number of doors based on, you know, the occupant load typically, even at 300 occupants, would only be 2 that are being required. There are 3. And the egress capacity is almost 3 times what's actually required for the number of occupants that are, you know, typically in the space. So even, and then also, speaking of the occupant load, even though this is a 4,800 square foot area, the intent, and Tricia can talk to this a little bit more, the intent of the barn space, the event space, is to be more intimate. They don't want to pack it full of people. The maximum tables and chairs that they have, round tables and chairs for events, only fits 150 people. The largest event that they've had in the barn is 130 people. So, you know, they want to keep them small, smaller events. As I said, many of the events are less than 100 occupants. So even if you add the, you know, Tricia's staff and caterer, which is a caterer offsite, there's no cooking or, you know, prepping in the barn. There's no open flame, you know, allowed. That's part of the contract that they have. And so as far as fire safety, you know, or fire, you know, conditions, that'd be very, very limited based on how they use the space. In addition to the, you know, the added egress capacity and number of exits, the travel distance, the maximum travel distance is allowed to be 200 feet maximum in the space of non-sprinkler group A2 occupancy. It's really no more than 66 feet to any one of those doors, you know, maximum from the space. So very quick, short distance. Again, that's just the 3 exit doors, the side hinge doors, not, you know, the other potential open, when the doors are open, the overhead doors and so forth. If you look at and that, I should reference in the floor plan, you can see on the left-hand side that is not included, and obviously the rest of the plan, you know, are the old horse barn stalls. And then, but if you look at the north side, that's where the main barn door, the, you know, large, you know, main entrance is the sliding barn door. That's on the north. Many times that's open. And then the 3 overhead doors, 1, 2, and 3 that I've noted on exhibit number 2 on the east side, majority of the time, those are open as well too. So, The site plan exhibit number 3, you'll see, which is north is facing up. And I shaded in the northeast area where the assembly space is located. And you can see that on the north side, the east side, and the south side, well over even 60 feet of open space. Okay, the gravel driveway goes up to the barn and then along the north side of the barn. And then there's the 4-foot sidewalk on the north side and the 4-foot, and the sidewalk on the east side as well too.
A question for you?
Yes,
Looking at the site plan and the shaded area
yes.
for the event space relative to the larger barn,
Mhm.
it looks like on the west side, it doesn't go to the exterior wall of the barn, so does that, are there doors there? Do they open into the remainder of the barn?
There is a single door that does, go into the remainder of the barn, but that is only used for, by the caterer as a staging area and back and forth from the event space. They put a table in that, at the front end of what were the stables. And they just go back and forth between the two spaces. So, but there is a door and, they're the only ones that would use it.
So there's a door next to these tables that take you into this cater storage area?
In the upper left-hand corner, yes, near the, exit one. Yeah,
Where your finger is.
yes, right where your finger is, yes, sorry.
So
If you're,
it doesn't show up here. This catering area doesn't show up in this plan?
it's not a catering area, it's literally a staging area. They have a truck that's, that's about 20 to 25 feet away from the building. And yes, they
So
have,
it's enclosed.
it is, yes.
And how far away from this wall that we show is that area?
Probably 12 feet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's not technically enclosed.
Yeah.
There's a double door that opens so they typically are walking in from the outside. And that's only if they need to do that. They usually prep the food. Most of
Yeah.
we use 3 caterers and they have like oh, my name is Trisha Kuntz, Kuntz, just so you know. We use 3 caterers and they all either have a box truck or a food truck. And that's parked approximately 35 feet away from the barn. And that's the majority of the time of what they're doing. We don't have a prep kitchen or any kitchen at all.
I've got a question for you. This is John Shannon. The barn has an area of 14,000 square feet. You're using 5,000 square feet for the wedding area.
4,800.
What exactly are you storing in the other 9,000 square feet?
Nothing. It's an empty space. Is that a bad thing?
She mentioned non-combustibles being stored.
Yes, there are some of your,
The tables-
accessible- and the
Tables or chairs?
Tables and
If
chairs.
so for example, we had a wedding a couple weeks ago, there were 30 people at the wedding. So we removed the tables that aren't being used and we put that behind the space. We don't leave the unused tables in the space for an event when there's only literally 30 people.
Okay.
It would look funny.
So I mean, it's a little stretch for me to believe that thousands of square feet of areas will never have anything in it.
That's
I mean,
how it's
I
been
thought-
since 2015.
Yeah.
We've
Nothing-
owned it.
You don't put something over the Christmas trees for the winter, anything, nothing.
No.
It's a wide open space that gets unutilized 100%.
It's only that accessory space that's behind it, that's a storage
Yeah.
space that is on concrete slab, and that's just, the, event
Gotcha.
overflow, space, like the tables and chairs and,
So there's no
maybe some
farm activity going on
props.
on your grounds?
There is, but we lease the property and that farmer owns his own farm. And so all of their equipment is held at his farm.
Does he have the rights to this?
No, he does not. No one does, because I don't want someone damaging a door. I don't want somebody, no.
So Rick Andrews, so the question I have is, how long has this facility been operating and why has it been operating? You mentioned you talked to the code official, but didn't the
Yes.
code official tell you needed all this stuff?
So we were working with the town. We went to the town and spoke with our town supervisor and the town engineer before we even invested any money at all. because, my husband Steve and I didn't want to be in a predicament where we invest hundreds of thousands of dollars to, one, save the barn, and two, to do these things and end up in a predicament like this. So we had actually submitted, and we've been working with the town. The town is very busy with other activities, but we submitted a life safety plan over a year and a half ago. It's evolved since then.
But you would have had to submit for building permits. And in that building permit process, they would have told you needed sprinklers, you needed fire alarm systems.
I believe the town thought that the space itself is somewhat sort of set up like a seasonal pavilion. We were given information, and guidance, and, under the agricultural umbrella, that I believe the town felt that this was acceptable. So I feel we've been very proactive with communication to the town, and with the town parallel with us, we are here today.
So what brought you here today?
Well, you want to answer that?
Sure, and I'm not sure if Scott is, I know he's in another meeting as
Should
well
we
too,
text him?
but yeah, if you want to
He
text him.
was on, I think.
Yeah, but he's also in another meeting, so
okay.
we'll let him know that we'll have him say something as well too. The town does support, this, I think, because, it is technically speaking, it's not a temporary facility, building. It's not technically a temporary special event structure. And it does have some events that are, great.
So where did you get to that point?
That was just recently,
This
this summer.
year.
Yeah, this year.
Scott got you to that point, or you just volunteered to come to the town? And
No, it was, initially the town was, provide us a drawing with your exits, or your extinguishers, your emergency exit signs, and we did that. And then I'd let Scott speak to
But I mean,
that.
this has evolved for a couple of years, right?
Yes,
So that's my point. How did we
Yes.
get to the?
I agree.
review? How did we get here?
So.
Code officials say you can't do it any longer until we go to the review.
after they requested, I have an architect do the life safety plan, which I had a woman named Kelsey Hamilton, who is a structural engineer. She works for a company. She just doesn't have a New York State stamp. We submitted that to the town. Then the town came back and said, you need to have it stamped by the architect, which is why we then brought Laura on board and,
Yeah, and so, we had the discussions with the fact that it's just outside of these parameters.
Well, understood,
of the
but you
code.
like put the cart before the horse. You opened up your facility, you put all this money into it, and then you went to the.
I would somewhat disagree with that because we proactively went to the town. We met with the town
Well, I can
engineer.
understand. We'll
and
have to wait to hear from him.
Yeah,
He's
obviously.
on.
Yeah,
But for 2 years, that's, for me, that's a long time to be opening a facility, operating it, without all these fire safety features. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Well, we
And
had
I
the
know-
fire,
I know how they were going about it, but and we'll have to hear from him, either they just dropped the ball or else, you misrepresented something. I'm not sure. So going along with it, before we hear from Scott, just going along with the rest of that. So there is no separation between this wedding facility and the old barn itself, the rest
no
of the barn.
fire resistant.
No
like a
fire-
separation.
As a matter of fact, if I look at it, it looks like pieces of furniture that are separating.
it's a wall.
Yeah, it's
Well, it looks like,
doors.
but it
yeah.
doesn't go to the ceiling.
No, it does not.
The ceiling itself is how tall?
Oh,
I mean, it doesn't go to the ceiling. That's the point. There is no separation. So looking at it as a code enforcement, I would say that this entire facility is listed as an A2. Because there is no separation. There is nothing. You've got an open facility.
right.
Even
only-
though you've got these little partitions,
Right,
you don't
it
have a
is-
separation.
Sorry.
There is no separation.
There is no rated, this is
Right.
Laura Cooney, yes, you're correct, there is no rated separation. There is a separation on the west side, the left side, again.
For
a
this
wall,
little
wall
thing.
That, to the stalls,
Right.
and then there's the fabricated wall
Right,
that
right.
goes about 10 feet.
And the same with the bride area. That looks like doors are old doors are.
That is the separation, right, between the assembly space and the remainder of the building.
So I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but there was a fire in Oakland, California in 2016 called the Ghost Ship. And what that was a large warehouse. And they separated very similar to the way you do with furniture, you appear to be doing it. Furniture, old doors, they set up all these different shops in there, all illegally, no code enforcement, and this was no code enforcement. Numerous people died from it. The owner ended up going to jail for 5 or 6 years for the incident. So in my mind, the fire safety wise, I look at this building non-separated. I mean, we've had similar situations. When this board had similar situations of a small, barn area where they wanted to have weddings. They couldn't have the sprinkler system. It was too expensive. All things that the doors opened up, you had small travel distances. I have no problems with that. What I have a problem with is the fact that this is a huge facility. And as John said, how do we police what's being stored on the other side? Some of the photos, I see bales of hay.
No, I'm so sorry, this is Tricia. So the only two pages that represent us are the top two.
Okay.
All of the other examples, which there's 9 of, are other barns in New York, very close to
Right.
where we are, that don't have emergency exits, that don't have,
Which we can't. speak
I
to.
understand, but I'm just,
And I understand.
those are not me.
Okay, so that isn't you.
no, in fact, I put that in there purposely,
Okay.
because I'm like, this barn has bales of hay. Like, we would never do that. The other thing I'd like to point out is, I have another business called the Purple Painted Lady. We host one of the largest events over on a different property annually. It's an art festival. And we work very closely with the Wayne County Sheriff's Emergency Management Team. In fact, George Bastito is the director. I've worked with him for over 8 years. I proactively created our emergency management life safety plan with the sheriffs. I proactively went to them. There's county events that don't even have these documents, and not to say that, but my point is, I am very proactive in this. It's one of the largest events in Wayne County. And so what I wanted, because I knew, how do we know you're not housing something in that space? Who am I? I'm nobody to you. You don't know me. But I wanted to make sure that I had references regarding my character and my professionalism when it comes to safety. George Bastito, Wayne County Sheriff's Management Director. Assemblyman Brian McDelow, he was at the barn just 2 weeks ago. The Chief of Police in the village of Palmyra, which is much closer to my location than the town of Macedon's police department.
Understood.
So when I tell you, I'm not putting something there, I wanted to have these letters of my character, because why would you believe me? Why would I have all of that square footage and not put a thing in it? I don't.
So, and this is no disrespect, but if you sell it, this variance carries on with the property, not the owner. So if you sell this facility and someone else comes in and says, hey, this is a great wedding thing, I'm gonna expand it another 50 feet, 50,000 feet into or 1,500 foot into the building itself. So there's no disrespect to what you're stating there. So anyway, just to carry on with some of the other things that I mentioned that ghost ship situation, which is exactly what they did. I don't feel comfortable without a separation.
It is a wall, it is a partition.
Yeah, but I don't feel comfortable without a fire separation. I mean, I personally, in my opinion, I obviously can't speak for the rest of the board. So I have a question on the site plan.
Yes.
You mentioned there's a gravel road. What is the width of the gravel road?
Like 14, 15 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so there again, when this was being reviewed by the local municipality, and you'll be able to speak to it, there needs to be a fire lane, a fire access road to this facility, and that has to be a minimum of 20 feet.
Right.
And many municipalities won't allow you to go without pavement or concrete or some type of a.
How does Lincoln Hill?
I'm just stating that's code. You mentioned there's a fire hydrant now.
Yes.
What is the distance to the building itself? Not as the crow flies.
Yep.
But down that road and in.
Yeah, as you can see, I do have the dotted line measurements on the site plan. And going all the way around to the far southeast corner, which would be the longest distance, is 600 feet. If you go around to the northeast corner, which is where the event space is, You'll see I have about approximately 475 feet. to
Now,
the
you're
furthest-
measuring that as the crow flies?
On the property that is accessible from the fire hydrant.
There is a driveway that goes to?
There is a partial driveway, yes, that a fire truck could park on. And then there, between the barn, you'll see, on the north side of that, property line, and I think there's a garage.
And we have had the
on
fire
south side.
department on the property.
So the code requires sprinkler 600 feet,
Yes,
unsprinklered 400 feet.
correct.
So you're telling me that's 600 feet to
Uh,
the furthest point of the barn itself?
Right, as far as the rest of the barn, yes. To the farthest point of the assembly space, 475
And that's
feet.
going from that hydrant to that road and down the road to the barn?
Correct.
That's 400 feet.
475 feet.
So it's overflow.
Being, yes.
So those are two things that the code official needs to address. And there again, if I'm going to grant a variance, I know you're not here for that, for a variance for
Right.
those particular things, but to me, they're important to be included if we would, as some type of a deal, or, you know, some type of an agreement,
Right.
or a condition that we
Yes, a
would put on.
condition, yeah. So, yes, and, you know, they are, it is again, a seasonal use, you know.
Understood, I mean, all that's understood, but I'm just, you know,
So I think too, what I see happening here is dichotomy, if that's the right word, is that you're choosing to be the municipality approved temporary use operation, it's summers only.
Mhm.
And with that, the municipality is in charge of granting that through their planning board, or whatever board they have. And God bless you, I hope it all works out. Nothing to do with the state, it's within their zoning jurisdiction to let you run the barn in the summer 10 times. If you were to, now if you're gonna say, okay, well, how about if we get New York State to put their stamp on it too? Well, then time out. Then we're gonna talk about the hydrant, the distance, the dude, we're gonna cover everything. Where's the bathroom? Where's the handicap accessibility? On and on and on and on. Sometimes when you come before the board with a single issue, you open yourself up to everything else. And what we often say here is, by the way, you're asking for X, but A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, just so you know, you gotta be doing all those too. That's all part of the code. That's not before us, but you're not looking for relief from it. But you gotta do it or else you'd be asking for relief. So at this point, I mean, I see it as, and I think Clarence does the same thing. They go like this, temporary, and they bring in the toilets, and they bring in this, and they bring in everything,
Yep.
and nowhere does it ever pass the New York State building code, but within their zoning powers, their municipal law, they're allowed to do these temporary things without kicking in the entire New York State building code.
Understood.
So so I think it goes back to Rick's original question, well, why are you here? If Mastodon said, go, go, go,
Scott's on the
Yeah.
call.
so, you know, why are you here? Everything's been approved and you've been working. God bless you, you know, with evidently within his jurisdictional rights and the law of that town, et cetera, everything is fine. But now you want to come here for the stamp, so, ooh, time out.
Why don't we go ahead and?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, are you able to talk?
Yes, I apologize. I'm in two meetings at once here, so I apologize. I wasn't able to listen till just recently here.
So, I mean, I'll just give you a quick summary of this so you can respond to it. So up until this time, the town of Mastodon has allowed this to take place within the jurisdiction, the laws, et cetera, of the town of Mastodon. And it's been working and it probably will continue to work because you've already allowed it. However, now you're before a New York State Building Code Variance Board. I guess why? Because one of the things that happens is when you come before our board, you're open up to every single code issue that maybe you folks don't address because you fall into the planning zoning category of summer use only and enforced by your municipality, period. When you come to us, everything else is on the table. So what was your purpose of suggesting?
Yeah,
that
I mean, obviously, it's not something we deal with on a daily basis, and we struggle with it a little bit. It's a question of Trish is a very successful business lady, and She's got multiple businesses that are very successful, and she's very good at growing businesses. And as her, whether it's her large annual festival or it's this barn, she's able to grow her business. And as it gets larger, just the fire marshal and myself just question, like, at some point, like, hey, we need to have a life safety plan on this structure, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of like just there was a developing conversation that occurred. We're doing what we thought was right, and we're trying to work with her, and we do support the operation. The town does. She does conduct it in a good manner.
So I get that you were trying to, let's get someone else to quote, sign off on this and we can wipe the sweat off our brow. However, let me ask you this. The hypothetical that this board tables it because everything's not before us that we can rule on, everything will continue as it was, right?
Or this is David Flynn.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the middle of October, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, next year.
Well, this is David Flynn. The petitioner may want to consider withdrawing the petition for a variance and operate under the oversight of the locality of the town in terms of its interpretation as this being a seasonal / agricultural / temporary venue, however they've interpreted it up to this point.
Right.
Because I think the chairman's point is well taken, and that is, once we go forward and consider this formally in the context of considering the variance, someone is acknowledging that this operation is subject to these code requirements, which may bring in other unintended consequences of other code requirements like handicap accessible bathrooms and, other electrical code, plumbing code, all sorts of things. You can't be in a little and not be in. So that may be an option that the petitioner wants to consider as well.
Yeah.
This is John Shenny. Don't you think, since this was an agricultural structure and now it's shifting into an A2, a formal change of use application should come before the code official and go right through by the numbers. I look at this thing and I see that the trusses here are like 6 or 8 feet on center. There's 2x6 purlins. I don't believe they will support the New York State snow loads. Now, we work on ag structures all the time. Farmers build stuff like this. Most of the time, the barns don't fall down, most of the time. But when you've got a different use at A2, you're supposed to meet the full letter of the codes. And I don't believe your roof structure will make it. And that would come up on a change of use application because you go right through every item of the code.
But then it's safe to say the town of Macedon does not consider this a change of occupancy. They consider this in their own zoning section, page 42.
Well, this barn used to be used for horse shows. It had people in it for horse shows before this. Isn't it assembly,
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, the change of occupancy, which is a New York State Building Code thing, is not addressed when a municipality considers this in accordance with their zoning code that allows 15 times a summer to have a gathering in a room. I mean, other municipalities do it also. They jump to their planning zoning code and allow this to happen. And evidently,
just not that familiar with when not this is applicable. You know what I'm saying?
well, no, I mean,
We're not a large town where we have a lot of these things going on, so.
Yeah, but once again, you're allowing it, and I'm going to assume your allowance is based on some reference source. And, once again, go ahead and continue your enforcement of whatever your reference source is. But when you're looking for this board to stand, well, now you're in another court, so to speak, and everything's going to get on the table.
Sure.
And that might not be what you or the operator wants to do. Do you kind of follow that? And we're back to what David says. You made you may want to pull your variance here, unless you were willing to tell the operator, all bets are off, God bless you, do everything in accordance with the New York State Building Code, and let me know when you get that approval.
Which after 3 years is
Yeah,
in many meetings. So I
Scott,
appreciate that, Mr.
Is that
Whittle.
something we can do, all together, is work, work with
Who's
it,
all together, us?
the
Well,
town and.
Just us.
Yes.
Just you,
Yeah,
not us.
it's,
Once you said us.
Yeah,
we
and at
pull
this
out.
point, it sounds like that conversation could be held offline. It doesn't even need to be done here. Based on your recommendation and what you've shared, it goes back to the town after the 3 years and we'll see these conversations what happens.
That was my 2 cents. I mean, we got other board members here that could express things.
Peter Clayman here. This sort of operation was typically handled by a fire watch in my jurisdiction. And, that's not to say that, that's available, but that's what I've seen in other jurisdictions. And to the design professionals comparison and temporary, I would add the comparison to a open shelter in a public park, and you don't have an open shelter. You have 3 man doors, you have overhead doors and sliding doors that a 110-pound person can't actuate. So you're looking at the situation where if the fire marshal is comfortable with it occasionally happening, I think that this board can't ask for the kind of detail in the structure that you would have when you issue an updated certificate of occupancy. Or actually, a full-blown certificate of occupancy is a public assembly space that carries on to the next operator. Because clearly, I asked that of Mr. Allen, you would look at another operator of this venue in a very skeptical fashion.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I heard of this around here, every year that municipality says, oh, and here is your 1 year allowance for your barn thing. Every year, boom, boom.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you sell it. Well, guess what? That ain't going to the next guy.
Correct.
Because that next guy wants to go into the back and make this 300
Right.
people, blah, blah, blah.
And I would agree with that. I'm totally fine with that.
So, it's David Flynn, I think you basically have 3 options at this point. One is to proceed with us to consider the request for the variance and make a decision on that. The other would be to table the variance request, subject to your discussions, whatever you do with the town, and determining whether or not you want to come back in front of this board. I don't suspect there's going to be a lot of changes here, but you could table it, or you could withdraw the variance request and then continue dealing, with the municipality. And, obviously if issues arise, you always have the ability to come back in front of this board. But I think you're getting a sense of kind of where this board is.
Yeah, I don't suggest you move forward with this variance here today because you don't have a substantial enough presentation for us to all nod our heads and go, okay, and it's not here.
Understood.
Everything, the big picture isn't here today for you to be able to present and for us to rule on. We'd be like,
Yes,
we need, what about,
understood.
So that's that.
Okay.
So at this point, Andy, what do we do? See if.
I think they need to make their decision, what they,
Okay.
the petitioner needs to decide what want us to do at this point.
Scott, if we withdraw, then we can continue conversations and making the necessary information.
I would either table it or withdraw it, but
I propose we withdraw it. I believe, but based on what Mr. Linden said regarding the discussions we've had with the town of Macedon, with the town supervisor, town engineer present for over 3 years, we would continue working with the town.
Okay, so I mean, at this point, Andy, I don't need a motion to, for their withdrawal. I can simply state it for the record that the petitioner has made the.
Yes.
Okay,
Withdraw
so,
the petition. Yep.
so regarding today's hearing, regarding petition number 2023 0472 Fig Hollow Wedding Barn. The petitioners, after much discussion, have decided to withdraw their request for relief at this point in time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Firewall.
Oh, yeah. No.
I mean,
They need to get their fire marshal. Scott, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm on.
This is strictly off the record, but,
Yes, sir.
I'm the, fire representative on the board. And,
I'm the president of the fire department and I'm a licensed civil engineer, just, so you know.
great. So it's important that your fire marshal or whoever you have, fire chief or whoever, get involved in this for some type.
Oh, he's involved.
Continue with your life safety plan and the fire watch that was mentioned by Mr.
Yeah,
Flynn.
so basically what it boiled down to is, this thing acts as an open pavilion when the doors are all up, right?
Sure.
No big deal.
Yep.
It's almost like a park pavilion. If you close all the doors and stuff, it becomes a building, and it's just like, can you just say, hey, you can't operate this unless the doors are all open, but what happens when it rains or the twister comes through?
Exactly. It says, it's said in the petition, most of the time they're closed, but thank you.
Yeah, well, it's just struggling with a growing business that's kind of,
That's understood. Thank you.
yes.
Hey, I appreciate you guys humoring this.
Okay, Scott, for the fun of it, I think for myself, what made this different was the 8,000 square feet
No.
between non-existent wall.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, we've had these before where they've been granted because the seating for 120 is wide open on all four sides with doors and overheads, and it is an open pavilion. But I think what happened here was this rear section got everybody quite concerned.
Yeah, I understand that. It would have to be like inspected before the event that it was clear and have a fire watch.
Yep,
To be
yep. Something like
Which
that.
we were okay with that, but it's.
No
Okay,
problem.
thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Next,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
petition number 2023-0498, the aggrieved party 8550 Roll Road Storage Facilities. The petitioner requested variance regarding for providing an automatic sprinkler system in 3 of the 5 storage buildings. 2 of them are under 2,500 square feet and do not require an automatic sprinkler system by the code. There are a total of 5 pre-engineered metal storage buildings within the scope of this project. 3 of them are above 22,500 square feet. 8,000 square feet is the largest building. The occupancy classification is B/S1 and construction type is 2B. The buildings are located at 8550 Roll Road, Clares, New York, 14032. Petitioner seeks relief from 19 NYCRR 1221, the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 903.2.9, Group S1. An automatic sprinkler system shall be provided throughout all buildings containing an S1 occupancy where one of the following conditions exist. Number 1, a Group S1 fire area exceeds 12,000 square feet. 2, a Group S1 fire area is located more than 3 stories above the grade plane. Number 3, the combined area of all Group S1 fire areas on all floors, including any mezzanines, exceeds 24,000 square feet. Number 4, a Group S1 fire area used for storage of commercial motor vehicles where the fire area exceeds 5,000 square feet. Number 5, a Group S1 occupancy used for storage of upholstered furniture or mattresses exceeds 2,500 square feet. Petitioner requests relief to eliminate the sprinkler system. Enclosed is a variance application with exhibits for a variance relief request for providing an automatic sprinkler system in 3 of the 5 storage buildings. 2 of them are under 2,500 square feet. I've already went through all that. And I think at this point, you can go ahead and present your case.
Yeah, my name is Tommy Correo, C-O-R-R-A-O. I'm the project manager for Natalia Development. We started this project a couple years ago with the design and everything, got our civil drawings done and completed. And that's when we started working on this a couple months ago, started working on the architecturals for the 5 drive-up buildings on the back of the site. And that's when we had discovered, and were unaware until that time, that We did somewhat fall under, the S1 where we would need to have sprinkler protection required in those units, in 3 of those 5 units. With that being said, you know, the town of Clarence Building Department, the fire inspector Joseph Saletta and the building inspector Dave Burke are both in favor, and the building department as a whole would be in favor of the New York State variance. It's a unconditioned space, single-story buildings that do not have an interior common space or interior corridor. I believe the only number that we fall under is number 5, is we don't know what would be being stored in that, these buildings, unupholstered furniture or stuff like that. That is one of the requirements that then require you to get a sprinkler system. So
That's the only one that you think you're in violation
I think
of?
that would be the only one that we would be in violation of. There's no interior corridor or common space. Buildings are single story.
Vehicles on site?
No storage of vehicles will be allowed in these back 5 buildings. So that is why we are here looking to have this variance accepted, and we can move forward without needing the sprinkler requirements in 3 of the 5 buildings.
It was only a couple buildings, right?
Yeah, it was 3 of the 5, yes, sir. 2 of them are under the 2,500 or 2,250 square foot. The one is 10 foot by 230, and then the other one is 10 foot by 200.
So the other 3 buildings are not above fire area requirements for sprinkler. They're above the 2,500 in case you have upholstered furniture, period?
That's how the code is written.
That's your position, is that we might have upholstered furniture, therefore we should get a variance for that.
Well, we're obviously not sure what's gonna be installed in those
Right,
buildings.
but it's not like you have a furniture.
Exactly, it's not like it's a furniture store that way, exactly.
Okay.
I didn't print off the site plans. I did send them in an email to Andrew. I didn't know if we all needed to have those, so
Well, it's almost, Peter Kleiman here, it's almost impossible for the board to go anywhere with this request without having a responsible understanding of the site and the configuration of the buildings and the location of fire water, everything.
Yep.
So from our standpoint, I should say from my personal standpoint, since we haven't heard from the 2 town officials that your site is
I do have an email from the fire inspector, stating that, and I can forward it to everyone as well, but stating that they would be, them and him and the building department are in favor of not needing fire protection in 3 of the 5 buildings.
So you mentioned construction documents, and you mentioned they were stamped and signed by a design professional.
Yep.
Has Clarence reviewed those and everything is code compliant except this 2,500
Yes,
issue?
they have, yep.
So that might almost negate your position that what's the big picture? Clarence
Well,
already
what-
said it is. Clarence already said the big
Let's
picture.
hear it from Clarence. They're not at the meeting.
Right.
I'm looking at the possibility of a conflagration, right?
The point here, are these storage buildings? Is that what they are?
We haven't started construction in the back, we're just doing site work now.
But I mean, is that what they are? They're gonna be individual people?
There is gonna be,
Are
yes,
they
individual,
gonna be broken up into
yep,
areas?
yep.
So,
So there'd be a total of 157 units throughout 5 of these buildings. And then they'll be rented,
so 3 of them will be over the 2,500 square feet?
yes.
And one is 8,000?
One is 8,000, the next one is 7,600, and the third one is 7,200.
And the code official are looking at it saying that, you know, yeah, these are, you store it yourself, bring in bedding and furniture and crap and throw it in there. So they are looking at it with the upholstered furniture. So they're saying that either you do or you don't, right? They're telling you can't, I mean, it would be the same with us. We would grant this variance and say you can't store upholstered furniture in there. And then if you don't store it in there, then there's no need for a variance. But that's almost impossible to police.
Exactly. So that's why,
And as Peter mentioned though, again, you're not here for this variance, but are your fire hydrants within the proper distances without sprinklers? Is there access roads? Is there an emergency access? I know we had a lot of used storage places in the town, Amherst here, and we haven't put a second means of egress in because these are usually long roads dead ended. So we get a fire down the far end, we can't get in there.
Yeah.
So they'll put another access road off on the side.
I'm not sure if we're able to pull up this.
You just sent it in,
We
right?
sent it to you.
This is David Flynn. I mean, at some level, we have to assume that the code officers and Clarence are doing their job.
Right.
They're looking at
Understood.
where the,
Understood.
you know, where the fire hydrants are and the distances and the access roads. Before they sign off on this and issue the, you know, the building permits. It sounds like has been a dialogue on the need for the variance, and that it seems to be limited, number one, limited.
I guess you're right, David, but I guess I feel comfortable knowing that it's there if we're gonna grant the variance.
And one of the problems we have is we can't mandate.
No, right, understood.
You know, that we can't mandate that the code officer.
Understood.
I could, probably call
Understood. It's just peace of mind for me to know that those.
No, I
things are in place.
understand completely.
And if they're not, then at least we can instruct the.
I'd have a strong preference to have the code officer say,
Yes, yes.
we looked at that, we're fine with that.
Yeah.
I agree completely with that. It's unfortunately.
But I'm speaking to
Yep.
Because you know that storage, you're gonna have a.
Hi, is Dave Burke or Joe Stiletta in? Yeah, it's Tommy Correa with Natalia Development.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. Let me see if Joe's still over there. Hold on. So you know what it's in regards to?
Yeah, it's in regards to the Railroad Storage Project.
Okay, hold on.
So it might be best for me to talk to make sure our
Yep.
issues are covered.
Absolutely.
What's his name, Joe?
Joe. Yes, sir.
Joe.
Hey, Joe, this is John Lyden. I'm the chairman of the variance board. And before us today, we have,
Tommy Correa.
Tommy Correo regarding the storage building that you guys have been talking to him about.
Yes.
So I'm looking at an email, so I'm not putting you on the spot. So we're looking at an email, we're just trying to make it clear on things. So evidently, you guys seem to be on board with, this, project, with the exception of getting the board to sign off on the 2,500 square feet for upholstered furniture would need a sprinkler system?
Correct.
Okay, so we want to rest assured here that everything else regarding fire lanes and width of fire lanes and distance for the hydrant and the length of the hose and everything else is in accordance with the New York State Building Code, and because none of that's been presented to us for relief from. Is that safe for us to assume that everything else is okay with you?
Yes, everything other than, I believe it's, there are three, that's only non-conditioned storage units, storage buildings. I don't know how many units are in each building, but buildings that do not have a common space and are not conditioned are the only buildings that we are talking about for any type of relief. Everything else on the property, the interior, common space areas, the large two-story storage unit is still required to have a 13B or 13 sprinkler system. All the other fire lane widths, clearances, hydrant locations, all of that needs to remain compliant.
Okay, so we see that the storage of upholstered furniture or mattresses exceeding 2,500 is the concern of everybody. Is that accurate?
Yes, I believe that was the only.
Okay. Okay, so, I mean, if the hypothetical occurs where this goes through as a variance, will you require signage depicting that in no way, shape, or form is any kind of upholstered furniture or mattresses allowed as storage in this facility? And can you enforce that?
No, we were okay with allowing the storage, regular storage of, whatever,
the contents may be, yeah?
Yeah, right, whatever they wanted to store, we were extended.
Okay, so you're not saying, yeah, you might have a couple of guys throw in their mattresses and a couple of guys throw in their stuffed chairs.
Right, and we get rid of the code, the also corrective thing, so areas that are, I guess, we use like mattress stores and things like
I
that.
gotcha.
Obviously, your storage unit, if you can have anything you wanted, and then no one's really gonna be able to enforce it. In the town, we're not gonna take responsibility for conducting fire inspections of what people are
Okay.
storing there in units.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, the 2,500 mattresses and upholstered furniture is for the larger storage areas that are dedicated to that kind of thing. Not an individual 10 by 10 area that someone wants to put his mattress in for 3 weeks until he moves or something.
That's how we're interpreting it.
Okay, anybody else on the board who would like to address Mr. Saletta with a question? Okay, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it and, hope to see you soon.
Okay, thank you guys, have a good day.
You too, bye-bye.
Quick question. Do we want the, like, the phone conversation on the transcript, or are we just gonna have that?
Well, want me to give a summary then?
Could she hear it? Could you hear it?
Could
I
you
mean,
hear it?
I could hear him talking. Some of his stuff were a little, like, it was a little.
I'll give a quick summary.
John, give a quick summary.
I'm gonna give a quick summary, whatever I miss, other people on the board could jump in as being content of that conversation also. So basically, Mr. Saletta from the code enforcement officer in Clarence stated that all other code issues regarding hydrants and fire lanes and hose lengths and everything else has been evaluated and is in compliance with the code. The only thing that was not was this 2,500 square foot issue regarding the storage of upholstered furniture and mattresses. And he and they are of the opinion that the intent of those particular statements by the code were for mass storage areas of mattresses and furniture, not an individual person's personal mattress or personal furniture. So that was their interpretation regarding that, but it sounds to me like they were looking to simply get our interpretation to back up their position. Anybody else on the board want to add to that or what I may have missed? No? Okay, so I think that's the summary you can put on record. Okay. Anybody else in the audience want to speak regarding this issue?
Oh, Peter Kleiman here. Can I ask the petitioner a question? Is the fire service in Clarence volunteer or professional?
Volunteer.
I believe it's
It's volunteer. Okay, so then the weekend warriors are gonna put out your fire. That's concerning, very concerning.
Well, speak regarding your concerns and then vote accordingly.
I just can't, I don't think anybody has real control over what's stored in those boxes. And under the circumstances, without a sprinkler at that scale, it's entirely possible that your corporation is gonna lose the entire bank when it starts up. That's my point.
I think the only thing that, I just think that code, like Joe said, was written for the mass storage of the upholstered furniture, the mattresses, the mattress stores. I don't, it's just my opinion. I don't believe that, that fell under our jurisdiction of a 10 by 10 unit or a 10 by 20 unit.
Well, if Joe felt that way, he could have interpreted it that way and you wouldn't have had to come for a variance. So obviously he's on the fence.
Well, it just was at
He's
the
on
end
the
of the
fence
day.
a little bit. He's, because he could have interpreted it that way and you wouldn't have had to come for variance.
I think he did.
Well, he
did say.
He actually,
Our position is
but he
that.
didn't officially, because if he did, they wouldn't have to come for variance.
Yeah.
Because,
I'm saying what he said on.
no, I understood. And so he's on the fence, whether.
It's our broad shoulders rather than his.
Right.
Plain and simple.
And along with that is, I have a couple questions on the size of, you said one of the buildings is 8,000 square feet. What are the other two buildings?
76 and 7,400.
So they're all over 7,000 square feet.
Yes.
Would you be opposed to separate, now I'm not asking for a firewall, but would you be opposed to separating them in some way with a 2-hour fire rated wall?
I think the
And then,
code would be every 2,500 square feet.
and then break up the rest of your, even if you broke it in half, it would be, I'd feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I think that would be something that we would, we would take into consideration. I think that would, more or less, we would rather go that route than have to put in dry sprinkler systems throughout the whole,
And it wouldn't have to be a fire wall, which obviously it'd be dependent, but it could be a fire separation, 2-hour fire separation.
okay?
Break up.
So you're looking at the 2,500 square foot mark, let's throw up a 2-hour wall.
Yep.
Every 2,500, let's throw up a 2-hour wall.
2 hours fire separation.
Yep.
And you're okay with that? That becomes part of our ruling?
Yep.
Okay.
And that certainly, puts the volunteer fire company in much better shape.
If they can control it.
Yep.
There is one going
Totally
on.
understandable.
So the 2-hour wall, metal studs, double 5/8, done.
Yep. Every 2,500 square
No
feet.
masonry, no.
Yep.
Okay, anything additional? Anybody in the audience? Anything additional? Board members, anything additional? So at this point, we'll ask everybody to head out into the corridor while we go into our discussion regarding the rules. Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time.
Yep.
Andy, I think you
Okay.
Based on the evidence and documentation presented, the board makes the following findings. Number one, the variance application with exhibits for a variance relief request for providing an automatic sprinkler system in 3 of the 5 storage buildings. 2 of them are under 2,500 square feet and do not require an automatic sprinkler system by code. Number 2, there are a total of 5 pre-engineered metal storage buildings within the scope of this project. 3 of them are above 2,500 square feet and require an automatic sprinkler system per BCNY S903.2.9. Number 3, the Town of Clarence Building Department would be in support of a New York State variance from section 903.2.9. Group S1, item number 5 reads, a group S1 occupancy used for the storage of upholstered furniture or mattresses exceeds 2,500 square feet in all unconditioned single-story buildings that do not have an interior common space. Number 4, the owner shall provide a 2-hour fire separation wall at all points in the buildings in question where the fire area will reach 2,500 square feet. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for variance as submitted is hereby granted. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Do I have a
Rick
second?
Andrews.
I second.
At this point, we'll conduct our vote. Mr. Finn?
Yes.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Shenny?
Yes.
Clayman?
Yes,
John Lyden is also in favor. The vote carries 5-0 and, 4-0. 5-0. 5-0. And, the hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we just go over again who seconded the vote?
John Shenny seconded.
Okay.
Rick Andrews made the motion.
Rick Andrews made the motion. Mr. Shenny seconded.
Okay, thank you.
The next hearing is petition number 2023-0521. The petitioner is the Syracuse International Airport. The petition pertains to a variance seeking relief for area limitations for the proposed additions to the North Concourse construction type 2B, 2 stories in height, known as the Syracuse Hancock International Airport, located at 1000 Cornell Eileen Collins Boulevard, City of Syracuse, County of Onondaga, New York State. Public notice was published in New York State Registrars, October 18th, 2023 issued. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1227, the 2020 existing building code of New York State, Section 502.1, which states additions to any building or structure shall comply with the requirements of the building code of New York State for new construction. Alterations to the existing building or structure shall be made to ensure that the existing building or structure, together with the addition, are not less complying with the provisions of the Building Code of New York State than the existing building or structure was prior to the addition. An existing building, together with its additions, shall comply with the height and area provisions of Chapter 5 of the Building Code of New York State. Also, Section 19 NYCRR, Part 1221, the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Section 503.1, which states, unless otherwise specifically modified in Chapter 4 and this chapter, building height, number of stories, and building area shall not exceed the limits specified in Section 504 and 506 based on the type of construction as determined by Section 602 of the occupancies as determined by Section 302, except as modified hereafter. Building height, number of stories, and building area provisions shall be applied independently. For the purposes of determining area limitations, height limitations, and type of construction, each portion of the building separated by one or more fire walls complying with Section 706 shall be considered to be a separate building. The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow the pre-existing non-conforming 3-hour rated fire wall, in quotes, at the north concourse to be continuing to be considered to meet the requirement of a 3-hour fire wall. At this point, you may come forward and present your case.
Thank you very much. I actually have some, this is Richard Ryan, with Corgan, the AOR, 350 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York. We're trying to log into the WebEx to present some things to you all, but while we're working on that, we can go through. So thank you all for your time, first of all. The relief we're seeking is from bringing the existing construction up to current codes. It was permitted and built under existing codes. The research we have done shows that it complied at the time, although it does not comply with 2020. We are not touching that portion of the building, so we should be getting relief from that. We are adding square footage to the building, which we allow to under the frontage allotment, and bringing everything in our construction of building to the 2020 code. Is anything like that?
Do you want to talk about, I mean, at this point, I don't see the additions on these drawings.
Right, so we have a presentation that we prepared. We're just trying to log into the WebEx, and we have a few slides that will help to illustrate what we're saying.
Here it is. Sure. 1610, 1610, 26, 69, 49, 6, 4.
Andy, you gave him the deliberation room.
What's that?
It's a deliberation.
That's the deliberation room. You want the meeting number? Let me give you the meeting number.
Thank you.
It's 1611 758 745.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Good points, Paul. Yeah, function. Oh. Has every example of that's actually, that's all kind of, but I'll take it. Yeah, it's a cheap pass. Yes.
Hi, Rick and Fahad. Maybe you can forward the slides to us. We can share at our end and you can present if that works.
It's just loading right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the meeting again?
Barb, you got the meeting number?
I apologize.
Yep, you ready?
Yes.
1511-758745.
Valid room number. It's 1611-758754.
45.
I apologize. I thought I'd be able to just log in.
Okay, so.
No, it's
If you want to forward it on to me, I could put it on the screen.
your meeting password.
Is there a meeting password, Barb?
He can recover.
I have a password that I use to get in. Did you need that?
Please.
Or you have it, Barb?
Yeah. So it's KR, capital E, capital F, 3, capital H, 2, S, capital Q, capital U, and 4.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that then?
KR,
KR,
capital E, capital F,
yes,
3, capital H, 2, S, capital Q, capital U, and 4.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Rick, I just sent you all the information you need by email.
It's setting up the meeting right now. Juan-Ru, do you have the old version?
I don't think I have any version. That's why so if you can forward me any version, that helps. Oh, I think I find the old version. Do you want me present?
Yes, it's an email from a couple days ago.
It's taking forever to load the PowerPoint.
WebEx is apparently, I'm sorry about this. I thought I would be able to plug in.
Far cry advance from this digital satellite. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, we did send them those large drawings, but we figured we'd do a concise, PowerPoint, just highlight the salient features.
All right, thank you, Connor. Can you advance to the next slide? Just to orient you, terminals A and B on the airport site. Next. This is the departure level overall plan. What's highlighted there in the dashed bubble is the North Concourse, which we're speaking about. The Gate 22 edition there is in the light blue, and the Gate 27 edition is there in the on the lower portion of the concourse. Next slide, please. So just to blow up of that area, the Gate 22 edition at the top of the North Concourse and the Gate 27 at the lower portion of the existing concourse. The area in question are is where she's highlighting now inside the dashed bubble. The green is a 2010 edition separated by a firewall.
So when you say firewall, is this firewall or is it fire barrier?
The fire.
So it's the barrier.
Okay.
The barrier, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, barrier.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the blue portion there is a 1991 edition.
which is a firewall. It's a true firewall. Those are pre-existing, as permitted.
By the code at that time.
Yeah.
So your position is these two blue additions is what's kicking in a reevaluation of those walls?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, which is what you think.
Yes. And we have Brian Thompson on the line from Syracuse Codes as well.
Hey, Brian.
And the comment that we got was that those previously permitted separations needed to be upgraded. And our ask is that
They be
need
allowed to
not
see
be the,
The local code official said he wants those walls upgraded.
It was his
Can you
invitation on the
share
board.
something?
Brian,
Brian's on
yes,
the line.
Brian Thompson.
Yeah. Just
Can you
for-
go to the next, please? And just so we can be, clear, is that we are not making the building any less safe, in our opinion. There is, the whole building is fully sprinkled, as will be the additions. There is adequate egress with ample capacity, it far exceeds what is required. And the grade, there is ample frontage for fire department access, which is allowing us to get the additional thing there. Next slide, please.
The ARF building.
So so here is another zoomed in plan of the site plan. The SRA ARF building there is in the south west of the site. The direct shot there, and to the north concourse, which is up at the top there, those yellow lines show the path of the fire rescue. Now, that building is staffed, even though it's owned by Syracuse, it is staffed by the 174th, which is the military wing, the Air Force National Guard at the south southern part of the airport. They also have their own ARF building, aircraft rescue fire, on the south side as well, which would be back up to that. So we don't believe we were impinging on anything. NFPA requires separation between the wingtips. Also, people don't like parking $1 million aircraft and millions of dollars of aircraft close to each other. So you have 20 to 25 feet between wings to drive a truck through. That is standard on all airfield operations. So the frontage there is all around the concourse, given its thin, long and narrow nature. The travel distance to any of those egress points is rather short.
The FD is on site 24/7. Response time is under 2 minutes. There is ample access. There are also hydrants located all along the concourses that provide easy access for connecting.
NFPA specifies the frontage, the coverage of this as well.
So just for context, both our additions together are about 4,600 square feet. What we are calling the North Concourse building, separated by the previously.
Can you go back 2 slides?
That's about, currently it's about 27,000.
Right there, stop.
And the entire terminal, both stories together, is 510,000 square feet, with the departures level itself being around 300,000 square feet. So I think what we're trying to say is that those buildings had to have been previously permitted, accepted as a separate building. So the North Concourse is a building in itself, existing at the time of our application. And our 10 or 12% increase to the area of that North Concourse is not making the condition any less.
This is David Flynn. Excuse me. So as I understand it, someone is suggesting that the prior two additions need to be brought up to current code.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
What would that entail?
Right. So that would pose a significant hardship, both economic and operationally, to the airport because of the location of those two. And Kwanru, let's go to the enlarged plan of that junction there.
We don't have that in this.
Here, he's got it in his hand.
Okay, so both of the connectors, the green and the blue, are both single-story construction, open underneath. One of them is used as an active tug drive aisle that's used by the airport. We have photographs indicating massive concrete construction and fireproofed conditions in the soffit underneath. So what we're saying is that the current condition there, although it doesn't meet the current code of a firewall that needs to go down to the foundation independently supported, it is still fire-rated construction.
And sort of that is the condition we inherited.
Are you speaking of this?
Yes, yeah, that's, yeah.
Yes, this is the lower level of what you're looking at.
And in that, it mentions about the firewalls, but there's a couple doors. I mean, so those are what,
Yeah,
2-hour rated doors?
Yeah,
So
so,
3-hour rated.
3-hour rated.
yes,
So there's barely any 3-hour wall there. I mean, it's just small
correct. So
pillars.
if we zoom in on that even further, you'll see the green area, the doors leading up to our, what we're calling the north concourse in yellow. Those two sets of double doors, we are upgrading to 3 hours because they don't have a label on them.
Okay.
But we popped tiles in the ceiling there. We've done photography up there. It's 3 layers of sheetrock on either side. We have drawings from those projects that indicate 3 layers on either side.
So you call one a fire separation, you call one a fire.
Correct. That's the terminology. that-
From the code.
Understood,
Yeah,
understood, that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. So the green is the separation, the blue is the firewall. And it was permitted and built as a firewall, so that, you know.
It's really only
is-
that, it's really only the part between the
It-
two doors. Is the
Yes,
doors.
and that is also rated, so if we zoom into these old drawings, you know, it does show the 3 layers of sheetrock on both sides and, you know, we can kind of go in there and take photographs and demonstrate 3 layers, so.
So I mean, I think if the code official is saying updated to a firewall, your position is, that's a procedural and a financial hardship.
And operational as well.
And so elaborate a little bit for the record, financially and procedurally why?
Sure, because it would entail shutting down of the tub drive lane, which is critical for the operations, to bring the bags to and from the bag rooms, to the passengers. Also, building a firewall in today's code, you would need to expose foundations, and shut down significant portions of the building while that work's being done. Also, there is no other circulation path for the passengers from the security screening to get to the concourse. They have to walk past past the area in green. Wonder if you go back to
Concourse level.
the junction there. So the horizontal piece in green is the connector from the post-security checkpoint leading into the north concourse. So shutting that down again is hardship.
Are all these areas fully sprinkled?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Fully NSPA 13?
Correct.
Peter Klayman here. Is the lower level just passive protection and not sprinkled? The part where the cars drive or the vehicles drive?
Can you go to the lower level, please?
The tug area, yeah, like there, are those?
Yeah. Yeah, because as you might gather, we would assume that that's just passively protected.
Right,
Unless you
so-
tell me different.
No, we did not notice.
We didn't notice a dry system underneath.
Those ceiling tiles.
So then you would have to, extend the fire partition to a firewall through this area and possibly close off
Correct.
circulation.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes. So those blue and red dots are the columns for the 2 different connectors that are connecting at the upper level.
So that lower level is open to the atmosphere?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Cliff Helton, Director of Facilities for the airport. It's a true drive-through.
Have you guys talked, did it come up as a possible alternative to provide additional, I'm gonna say deluge heads at both sides of this fire separation wall to make it more desirable as a quote firewall? Do you guys talk about that aspect of bringing additional heads in?
We have, that's one of the things we have discussed.
And how did the discussion go?
There's a discussion about adding, like a window wash style
Yes,
system.
yes.
So that is, I believe that does
Yeah,
show
the
in our
curtain.
designs for window wash.
So we are,
Well, that's on the existing. This is at the fire barracks. We talked about doing that, like the draft curtain and the sprinklers on either side of the draft curtain.
so my question was on, not the underside drive-through, where the people make their way through the green and the double doors. If you did talk about window sprinkler heads and washing those 2 door walls,
Not inside, no.
not inside.
But We are absolutely open to exploring that
So
as an
this
option.
right here, so that, the red line,
Yeah.
I guess is where I'm saying, have you discussed adding another
We-
6 heads with?
We briefly discussed it, yes.
Okay, so,
But you have also said you're gonna beef those doors up to 3 hours.
Correct, only because we didn't find.
You have no idea
the
what that
label.
is.
Exactly.
Yeah, they are all magnetic hold opens, both those sets of
Right,
doors. The doors at the blue box do have the labels on them.
Are there smoke detectors located on both sides of those doors?
Yes.
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
He's the guy who has to maintain them.
The driving areas underneath these areas, any opportunity for fuel trucks? Was they
No.
too low?
You're too low.
Too low,
Yes.
too low.
Strictly tug job.
I see you got the fires across there, it is.
Yeah.
so if in our discussions, hypothetically, we think sprinkler heads are additional sprinkler heads deluge or every 4
Water curtain or whatever.
If they're on the table, are you okay? If we rule with that in mind, are you okay with that, or should we stay away from that as?
We'd have to bring it up with the client.
I mean, I would rather stay away from adding additional sprinkler heads to inspect and manage if we don't have to.
Well, that's the question. So hypothetically, you don't get this because you didn't do the heads. Hypothetically, you get it because you did do the additional heads. These are just hypotheticals.
We would do the heads, absolutely.
We would add the heads. We have
It's a
to.
small enough size.
Another.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a big, it doesn't seem like it's a big thing to add the heads.
It's not, I mean,
No, close to,
it depends on what
we've done that.
doors.
Right.
Yeah, we're familiar with the concept.
It's already fully sprinkled now, so that's.
Right, but we're just gonna go deluge, we're gonna wash the walls.
Yeah.
Additional heads. Okay.
And these doors are tied into our fire system, so as soon as there's a fire alarm, the doors automatically.
And there are smoke detectors right there.
Correct.
Correct.
Each door has its own.
Have you researched a pair of double doors with a 3-hour rating? I've never seen that done.
You mean for,
2 doors open like this with a 3-hour rating on there. I don't think it exists.
double doors?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just got quotes on that.
With
You have an astroturbo in there then?
You need an astroturbo.
They have coordinators on them sometimes. It just depends on how they,
Yes,
how they
yes,
serve.
yes. But it would have an astroturbo most
Yeah.
likely, depending on the width of the opening.
Correct.
Okay, we've got our quotes to replace them.
Anything additional from the public?
Code guy is, I think the
Anything-
code guy's on.
Okay,
Brian is on here.
why don't we ask, what's his name?
Brian Thompson.
Hey, Brian, you wanna speak up? Add your 2 cents.
Hi, good morning. I actually have a question, and I hope you can hear me. We just moved offices, a new headset. I do have a question with how this was read onto the record, and that was, it was read onto the record as a variance only. However, the notification I received from the state has this shown as a variance and appeal. Is this only a variance, or is this a variance and an appeal of my decision?
Andy?
Tom isn't online, Tom who, did the decision. Do you oppose this variance in any way?
Actually, I'm just curious to if I'm defending my position or just speaking to a variance. So I don't want to waste the board's time by defending something that isn't being appealed.
Well, you're not wasting our time. Why don't you speak up? It sounds like it's important to you.
Okay. And one other thing I'd like to add for clarification. Actually, let me just start. So this came to me as this application came as an appeal and a variance. So in terms of the appeal, I'm ready to defend the appeal. I have some concerns with what was stated to the board. This was included in petitioner's Exhibit C. And I also submitted, and hopefully you have, a letter from dated October 12th. That was my response.
Yes.
This. So I summarized my findings, and my findings were not that in no way, and this is on the record, in no way have I instructed them that they must bring up these walls to a firewall. That is an option they have. I do not design nor do I dictate what they do. I am required by law to not issue a permit unless such design complies with the code. So in their Exhibit C, which was comment 8 regarding the North Concourse, which appears to be my comment in its entirety, the third to last paragraph basically says to move forward, these are the kind of the options, just trying to lay them out and give them, so they have an understanding. But it's really anything that they do just needs to meet code. So it doesn't say you have to upgrade these walls. The design team was the one stating this is the separation. Where they've shown in today's exhibit, they had the map displayed a while ago, but it doesn't say here that they must upgrade those walls. So if that's where they're choosing to divide the building, so then yes, they should be upgraded. But let's go back to what the code actually says. So this uses the prescriptive compliance method, so Chapter 5 of the existing building code. And within that, it's 501 says that the current building area, the existing building, and the addition combined need to comply with Chapter 5 of the building code. And that you have to additionally make any modifications necessary to make that happen. Within Chapter 5 of the building code, amongst others, it requires the separation. To consider them separate buildings, it has to be a firewall complying with 706. Again, that's 706 of the building code for new construction. So if they are attempting to divide this, my findings are that yes, it would have to be a firewall. And that firewall would have to comply with the new construction requirements, and that's per the code. So that is my determination. It doesn't state that they have to divide it. It doesn't say that they couldn't put a firewall somewhere else to make their area limitations work. It's just stating that the code does require compliance. The existing building code requires compliance with Chapter 5, and Chapter 5 requires compliance with Chapter 7 for firewalls if you're choosing to divide a building. That's consistent with the definition of building, which is divided by walls and firewalls. The one thing I will caution, and this is my first time in front of the Buffalo board, but I've probably at least my 100th variance I've been involved with. It's important to also understand definitions, and that definitions, they're important now, but it's also important to know that they're tied to a particular point in time. Especially being a firewall used to have different requirements than it does today. So that firewall that is called the firewall on those original 91 plans may not meet the same firewall independence requirements of being structurally stable on both sides that the building has to meet today. You used to be able to come down and put it on and support it by a horizontal separation of not less than 3 hours. So that's just some kind of things to consider. So in terms of the appeal, if there is one happening, I would just ask that you uphold my reading of the code, which I think is pretty straightforward. Moving on to the variance aspect of things, the city doesn't want to see this be denied. We hope that you find something or find some middle ground, some conditions to make this safe so they can move forward. It was not until late last Friday that we actually received full plans, or I believe they were called 90% drawings based on a conversation with a gentleman at the airport. He had the design team from Corrigan upload those. So it wasn't even till last Friday, after I wrote this response letter, that we even received plans where that show or attempt to possibly show a separation between the new gate 27, which is the southern addition on the north concourse, which is the one kind of in the I'll call it the crotch of the building there. It even starts to detail construction or what that separation might be, and I'm still trying to go through the almost 300 pages of those plans to try to figure that out. I did, along with Deputy Chief Davis, who I don't believe could be here today, visit the site on that Friday. I don't really know whether that was built as a fire separation or just was given additional security, sheetrock for security. That 3-hour barrier, per the original plans, is supported on a 2-hour concrete and steel structure floor. And that was and actually I took a screenshot and included that on page 4 of my October 12th letter. So it even shows that that floor that supports that 3-hour barrier is only a 2-hour wall. Again, if you can find some conditions to make this work, that's great. We don't oppose the variance. I would like it to be, if you could, and come up with conditions, just something that's easily enforceable, that makes sense. But other than that, I'll leave it in the hands of the board.
Okay, thank you. Just talked with the regional engineer and he suggested we move forward with it as a variance, not necessarily as an appeal. So that's probably what we'll be doing.
Yeah, hi, this is Tom DiCiulio, Department of State, Building Standards and Codes. I was the regional architect that am the regional person of intake. And I changed the application from appeal / variance to just variance, because one of the items in the request for an appeal is a definition. And the one thing that the state board cannot do, or variance boards cannot do, is vary a definition. So that being said, that's why it was changed.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else, guys? No. Anything else from the board?
John, I was just looking at this again, these doors, things, and I just want to make it understood that if we do put some kind of a condition on regarding the deluge system, that it may be covered under the existing heads, depending on how far away they are. Because really, these doors, you would want them on either side of the door, washing the door, but if there's one within 3 feet, then it would be a moot point.
Yeah, I mean.
So I mean, it's just something that we may require it, but it may not have to be, we actually have to have it.
Yeah, well.
It may already exist.
I think, yeah, but I kind of doubt that a quote deluge system and the amount that it.
Well,
It's sprinkled, it's not a daily.
it isn't,
Yeah,
it is.
it's not a deluge or a curtain.
And I don't even know, I mean, two heads on either side on both doors would be no more, that's all you'd have there. You wouldn't have any, if you look at it, there's no room for, numerous heads. There's
Right.
probably 2 heads would be the maximum.
So I mean, if we said our ruling determined within 2 feet of the doors and you're 6 feet away, well, then you gotta do something.
Right.
If you're 2 feet, you're 2 feet, then you're good.
Right.
Okay.
Understood.
And we're happy to comply with this, just in the spirit of getting.
And you're offering the doors. You're sorry.
Yeah.
He's definitely doing it. We recommended that when we first went out.
Yeah, very good.
All right, anything additional from anyone?
Yeah, I would just, there's 12 people on there. I would just see if there's anybody else that wants to.
Anybody else want to speak up regarding this matter?
Juan Rue, David, do you have anything to add? Sorry, should have introduced them. Queen Rue and David Jacoby are our code consultants.
Okay, do they want to speak up?
I have nothing else to add.
Anybody else? Is everybody else set at the other end? David? You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, the only thing I want to remind everyone is a lot of structural member in this current north concourse is unprotected. That's why we are proposed a type 2B construction. Yeah, that's some background. That's all.
Thank you. All right, I think at this point, we're ready to, break into our.
Chairman Peter, did the, or I should say, Andy, does the parties with the state that are added on, over the matter of,
I think it's deliberation.
yeah.
I think there's.
They'll come in.
Oh, that's the attorneys.
Deliberate, yeah.
They won't speak in the main meeting.
Yeah, you're not speaking during this hearing, right? You're
No,
gonna speak during
don't-
deliberation?
Don't let them.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. We'll deliberate now, guys. We'll give you a shot when
Thank
we finish.
I just have a question.
Andy will switch over to deliberate.
Can you guys hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Monique.
Okay, this is Brian Thompson. I did have one other question.
I don't know if they can hear us.
Oh,
Yeah.
We can hear you, Brian.
I did have one other question, if possibly that you could clarify with a condition. So far we've spoken today about how the existing the existing expansions connect. But really, we haven't talked about where the new building connects. And I just want to make sure that if any variance is needed for that, I guess I haven't fully reviewed the plans yet, but maybe the design team could speak to what's happening there. Just to clarify if any existing portion of that exterior wall, which would not have required a fire resistance rating prior, is being reutilized in a way that would additionally warrant relief, because that would still be part of the separation of those two buildings.
Well, that's not before us, I don't believe, so I don't think we could address it because it wasn't written up that way.
And Brian, if we need to take that offline, we can address that with you.
Are you guys comfortable that it's code compliant and that you don't need a variance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.
I just have a question. I didn't get the name of the gentleman that was sitting next to Richard Ryan.
We're here at this.
Cliff Helsing?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Farhad Modi, Farhad. Last name Modi, Mody. I'm the project manager with Corgan.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
All right, she got you?
You got it.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, go offline.
Yeah.
No, but you need to go to, you gotta bring them.
okay.
We're resuming the hearing for petition number 2023-0521, Syracuse International Airport. At this point, we're resuming our hearing. For a matter of record, during our deliberation, we made contact with Albany regarding the new law that pertains to the environmental impact statement regarding this particular petition and the work that will be part of it. And they have completed the short environmental assessment form and found that there was no action that would be detrimental to the environment. So that is considered already established as part of this hearing, and we will now be ruling on the particular building matter before us. Based upon the evidence of petition, we have made the following findings. Number one, subject petition pertains to the proposed additions to the north concourse of the Syracuse Hancock International Airport located at 1000 Cornell Eileen Collins Boulevard, City of Syracuse, County of Onondaga, New York State. The airport has dual function as a civil military airport since its inception in 1928. Number two, the building that is the subject of the petition is correctly classified as per 1221, section 602.2 as type 2B construction, 2 stories in height and approximately 512,110 total square feet, fully sprinklered structure. Number three, the building subject to the petition is correctly classified per section 303.4 Assembly Group A3 includes assembly uses intended for worship, recreation, and amusement, and other assembly uses not classified elsewhere in Group A, including but not limited to waiting areas and transportation terminals. And Group A2 occupancy includes assembly uses intended for food and drink consumption, included but not limited to restaurants, cafeterias, and similar dining facilities. Number 4, the subject building of the petition proposed additions to the North Concourse that is presently 25,180 square feet, to add with 2 proposed additions a total of 4,620 square feet at each level. Number 5, petitioner states that this project centers on the enhancement of the Federal Inspection Station, FIS, and the renovation and expansion of the North Concourse at Syracuse Hancock International Airport. This expansion encompasses an added 4,560 square feet waiting area at gates 23 and 27 of the North Concourse, as delineated in blue in Figure 1 of Exhibit A. Number 6, the petitioner states that given its dual function as a civil military airport and numerous alterations since its inception, many construction documents are unavailable, leaving past code strategies ambiguous. Number 7, the petitioner states previous construction records indicate 2 expansions for the North Concourse connection to the central head house, as illustrated in Figure 2. The first, in 1991, extended the westward connection, while the 2010 project expanded the southern connection. Distinct boundaries of these expansions are highlighted in Figure 2 of Exhibit A. Number 8, the petitioner states the 1991 expansion project adhered to the 1984 New York State Building Code, specifying a 3-hour wall, as shown in Exhibit B, G01-01A sheet. As the 1984 code allowed the firewall to terminate above the lowest story if the lowest story is type 1 construction. The 3-hour fire wall did not extend downward to the foundation, as the lowest level is equivalent to type 1 construction, as shown in Exhibit B, G01-01B sheet. The 2010 expansion project may be governed by the 2007 New York State Building Code if the project was filed after January 1st, 2008. The 2007 code requires a firewall to separate the new addition from the existing building for allowable area compliance. However, if the project was filed before January 1, 2008, it may be governed by 2002. New York State Building Code, which allow the fire barrier instead of a firewall to separate the new addition, the 2002 Building Code of New York State, Appendix K, BK 902.2. Number 9. Documentation of the applicable code for this expansion is missing, but a 3-hour fire barrier was specified in the drawing as shown in Exhibit B, sheet G01-01A. Both the 1991 fire wall and the 2010 fire barrier segregate the North Concourse from the rest, rendering the pre-1991 North Concourse segment as an independent building from the rest expansion. The proposed expansion in this project includes 2 additions to the pre-1991 North Concourse. Number 10, the aggregate area of the existing North Concourse and 2 new additions complies with the 2020 Building Code of New York State area provisions for Type 2B construction. Therefore, no fire separation is mandated between the new addition and the existing pre-1991 North Concourse. Number 11, the City of Syracuse Codes Office plan check comment, as referenced by comment 00008 in Exhibit C, stipulates modifications to the 1991 firewall and the 2010 fire barrier to align with the 2020 code requirements for firewalls. The objective of the appeal/variance application is to retain the existing firewall and fire barrier as the building separations, given that they were permitted at the time of construction and the overall terminal had to be considered as a separate buildings to comply with allowable area. It should be noted that this particular application is for a variance only and not an appeal. Number 12, the petitioner states that the legally permitted constructions are allowed to remain. The underlying principle of the existing building code emphasizes that constructions previously approved should be allowed to persist without modifications. The current building employs the 1991 firewall and the 2010 fire barrier as its building separation. From a compliance perspective regarding building area, the North Concourse has to be a separate entity to meet the area allowed by the construction type. The current expansion aims to expand the pre-1991 North Concourse segment and as detailed in Exhibit BG01-01 sheet. The cumulative building area for the North Concourse is in compliance with the 2020 Building Code of New York State, Chapter 5. Number 13, the terminal is equipped with robust active fire protection measures. The building is fully sprinklered with a fire sprinkler system coverage. The likelihood of severe fire spread is markedly reduced to the layout of the North Concourse. The fire department has access to the building from almost all sides the fire department is on. Number 14. Petitioner states that the proposed addition will increase the structure by 4,560 square feet, resulting in the departures level area of 29,740 square feet for the North Concourse. This remains below the maximum allowable area of 33,345 square feet per Chapter 506, accounting for the building frontage increase. This addition represents an 18% increase to the pre-1991 North Concourse segment and a mere 1.5 increment to the overall terminal footprint. Number 15, petitioner states that past and present alterations and additions have attempted to comply with all applicable codes. Number 16, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and supports the granting of the variance under Part 1205. Number 17, it is proposed as part of this approval that additional sprinkler heads shall be added as required at the double door 3-hour wall area if the spacing is greater than 3 feet from the door and walls. It should also be noted that this approval or lack of approval is based upon additional or confirmation of 3-hour doors being added at both locations. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion. Peter Klein.
Yeah, read that word for the petition.
Yeah, trying to find the wording. In view of the above findings, testimony, and documentation presented before it, the board sustains. No.
Grant the variance.
Grant, okay. Sorry about that disregard. In view of the above findings, testimony, and documentation presented before it, the board finds that strict compliance with the code would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden, would be physically or legally impracticable, or would entail a change so slight as to produce a negligible additional benefit consonant with the purpose of the code. Granting this variance will not substantially adversely affect the Uniform Codes provision for health, safety, and security. At this point, we will conduct a vote. Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Clayman?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
John Lydon is also in favor. The variance carries with a vote of 5-0. This decision is limited to the specific building application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. The hearing is now concluded. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, clarification, please. It's Brian Thompson.
Yes.
Just to confirm, the existing 2-hour supporting construction of the 3-hour fire barrier is ample?
That wasn't proposed.
I guess the answer is the existing conditions are part of our decision, yes.
Thank you for clarification.
Sure. All right, thanks, folks.
Thank you.
You off the record?
Depends on
We're
what you.
off the record.
Appreciate it.
Board members, this is Tom DiTullio. My apologies. I'll send you a copy of the seeker so that you guys have a copy. So being a new ruling, this was done on Monday. I wasn't available Monday or Tuesday, and